Oh my goodness, folks, it looks like we're live. Dude, I've been up since 5 o'clock this morning working.
Nice. I woke up about 10 minutes ago.
Fantastic. Folks, I can see people are already signing in live. So my name is Kurt. I'm here with Magic Will Middleton, a genius in the LifterLMS space. And folks, this is how this works. We'll be here for the next hour or so, answering all questions, LifterLMS and some for WordPress in general. And if you got a question, just put it in the comment section of wherever you're watching this from, man. We are on Facebook, LinkedIn, YouTube. I think we're on Twitch and X and everywhere else. So if you're seeing this, sign in. Let us know, who you are, where you're from. And then if you have any questions, start putting in those comments so we can start helping you out, maybe doing some screen shares and showing off a little bit. And with that, Will, tell me how your week's been.
My week's been all right. I can't believe it's Thursday already. Let me see, just thinking through what I've been doing. I did a talk on Monday about LifterLMS. On Tuesday, just some client work, and then Wednesday was a chill day. But yeah, I guess I'm thinking, what was the work I was doing in LifterLMS this week? It was a lot of questions around WooCommerce and Lifter, like how these two work together. And Chris we talked about this a while back, but Chris brought to our attention yesterday that the WooCommerce tool disabled the ability to create a password on checkout just recently. So if you use WooCommerce, you're going to need, and LifterLMS side by side, you're going to need to have a reset password email go out to people after they purchase, and then they'll reset their password. That's how they'll get in. Or maybe there's some kind of cart flows or something you could do. I don't know. I haven't reinvestigated that since it was done that way, where people enter their email and checkout, they enter their credit card, they enter all that, but then they need to reset their password. So it's like a 2-step process now.
My understanding was, and because this was one of those Facebook, questions that came in last week, and my understanding was they would buy the course and it would give them a user account but not a password, and then it would give them the link on their confirmation email to click the link and choose a password.
Yeah.
So I don't know. Everybody wants everything a certain way, right? So you can imagine someone expected it to go a different way and it didn't go their way. And even though the system still works and the customer flow still seems to be in place, that people were not happy. and what? And then they're like, "Hey, Lifter, why don't you fix that?" I'm like, "Well, you didn't use Lifter as the cash register."
Yeah. Those it's very popular to use like a WooCommerce or something for your checkout, but if you're not using Lifter as your cash register, it makes it a little more complicated. One tool that I had a meeting last week near the end of the week with someone from Upsell plugin. So you can actually use that as your cash register for Lifter, Upsell plugin, and then enroll via their integration directly into Lifter. So it's sort of if you're not happy with the Lifter out of the box, you're not happy with the sales funnel flow setup with upsells and order bumps, that kind of thing doesn't really exist in LifterLMS out of the box. You can kind of fidget with it a little bit and create some fancy setups, but the upsell plugin really takes the Lifter checkout to the next level, but it doesn't go as far as to install a WooCommerce and then a cart flows or launch flows or something like that. So if you want something that's not as complex as WooCommerce, but you're looking to upgrade the Lifter checkout, upsell plugin might be a solution for you. They integrate with PayPal and Stripe directly, and they're on our third-party listing at LifterLMS upsell plugin. So check that out. Just wanted to plug that because I met with them last week.
Yeah, it's interesting to me because a lot of people don't think about their website in that way. I tend to think of my website in compartments, kind of like a department store, right? Like a department store has areas where you go to buy special things. Like there's the men's area, the ladies area, the appliances area, the fitness area, whatever, right? And so I look at my website as being like that. Like, here's my leadership courses, here's my, my social tools, here's, my blogging for information. And then at a department store, there's a consolidated cash register that rings all that stuff up. And that's what I look at the cart as being able to do. So, if I'm in a Lifter LMS website that's selling only digital stuff, I'll use the native Lifter LMS payment gateway. But if I want to sell t-shirts, coffee mugs, tapestries, and handbags, I'll probably do the WooCommerce stuff. Or SureCart. I like SureCart too.
Yeah. There are a lot of cart solutions that do exist out there that do integrate with Lifter LMS, and especially with that Zapier integration coming back online. So now you can use Lifter LMS with Zapier. It opens up even more platforms where you can even sell through Shopify and then enroll in Zapier. I did a Feature Friday on that last week, and I got stuck because I didn't pay Shopify. I didn't pay for it, so I couldn't do a test order and then validate through API. But it's pretty simple. You just say, okay, in Shopify, whenever an order is placed, I want to create a user on my WordPress website over here, and I want to enroll them in Lifter LMS, and that's all free. That's all with the Lifter LMS free core plugin. So a lot of flexibility there.
That's cool. We got some people checking in. I'm gonna say it weird. Jacqueline, I think is who this is. Jacqueline Persona says, "Hi, she's from Canada. Hello, how you doing, eh? What's all this about?" And then she says, "I'm new to Lifter LMS, just exploring course videos to load up my first course. We'll also be exploring the membership pathway." Believe it or not, Will, one of the things I did when I started working at 5:00 this morning was I had just converted one of my personal clients' websites from a Sensei platform to Lifter LMS. And so we migrated the site, we took out all the Sensei stuff, and then put in Lifter LMS. And of course, Lifter brings to the table the membership tools, membership restrictions, access plans to sell courses individually, bundle them together as memberships, or to do elevated memberships where they could be subscriptions with monthly office hour calls and things like that. And so, shout out and kudos to Jacqueline for looking at the membership pathway. That's a really cool way to go. You can put people on a subscription kind of thing. You can kind of build community. And if you've got our Infinity package, once you get some community in there, you can activate the social learning and let them start talking to each other. It's kind of a fun thing to do.
Nice. Let's see. Yeah. There's a lot of options there, and that's a lot of the questions I got on Monday at the talk were about how do I build community, how do I take my expertise and kind of turn it into a course. And so I spoke to the benefits of creating that community in the first place is kind of the thing that's often overlooked, because I know I've been guilty of making a course and then just putting it out on the internet and then feeling bad when there's low attendance on it. But then when I went the other way and I was like, okay, I'm going to create a bunch of resources about this topic. And then there was a bunch of interest in those free resources, like small mini free resources, blog posts, YouTube videos, whatever it is. And then there's a subscriber base, an email list, whatever it may be. When you hit about that 500 mark of free subscribers, then it's like, okay, there might be some real kindling here for this fire. So then you launch a couple paid programs into that community, and then you get a little bit of uptake with it. And so it creates that breeding ground for a much more successful program. Let's see. So thank you so much. So can I build community on Lifter LMS versus Facebook? Absolutely. I could pull up my demo site and show the social learning in Lifter. I know there's a bunch of great options. Let's see. If I share screen, I should actually pull my tab over here. Boom. Open this, share screen, share window, and we will share Academy. So this is a demo site from Lifter LMS. My menu is looking a little bit weird right now, but I don't know. I can mess with the spacing. But inside of Lifter LMS, did I change my theme or something? I don't know why it's doing
What's
this.
going on?
What's going on? I don't know why my video is up here in the header and it's full width or something. I made this site last week and I probably broke something on it when I was troubleshooting something. But on the community area, so for Lifter LMS, there's a product called Social Learning. It's included in the Infinity Bundle, but it's also available as an individual add-on. And what Social Learning does is it puts timelines on each of your courses and memberships. So on this website, I'm the admin, and you can see I'm enrolled in a ton of courses over on the left. So there's like a group. It's not, I should call it a group, but it's like a group of people who are in the course. Anybody in the course has access to the timeline. So for example, the money preservation course, anybody in the money preservation course has access to this timeline. If you look in the URL bar, you can see it's like mysite.com/timeline/money preservation. The nice thing about this is it creates a private community where people can chat within that course or membership. I don't have any memberships right now, but if I did, it would say memberships and list those out as well. It shows achievements that people have done inside of that course, or not achievements, but the events that are happening within that course. So you can see other community members who are joining, and then discussion that might happen. It's sort of a simple Facebook style timeline. Another option is forums. And I mean, social learning also adds a profile and a people directory, but the main feature for community is that timeline, but there's also a little bit of customizing your own profile. But then jumping to forums, this is a different tool, a free tool called BB Press. This is like a Reddit style experience where instead of a timeline, we have a forum. And so this is more of like a Reddit style experience where members can start threads, asking questions, and then people can respond. So within these forums, there are topics. So if I click into each topic, I can see what's going on within that topic. So we've got forums and then topics within those forums where people can interact and reply to each other and stuff like that. So there's a lot of good stuff you can do with Lifter. And so that's just two options: LifterLMS Social Learning and BB Press. There's also Buddy Press that creates more of a Facebook style experience, and Buddy Boss. I know, Kurt, you have a lot of experience with it, but Kurt, what's your favorite community tool right now?
I've got a couple of sites, my own projects on Buddy Boss right now. And there's great tools in Buddy Boss, but I want to throw this up as that whole caveat thing, right? It's the right tool for the right job. So I put Buddy Boss on my sites without a lot of community yet, because I wanted them kind of as like portfolio pieces. So when I have customers that go, oh, what does that look like? Or how does that work? I can say, oh, well, here, let me show you, blah, 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 blah. So that's why I have them, but they're heavy. And if you don't have really good hosting, it can really slow down the site. Caching can be an issue. If you're on a budget host with, really aggressive caching to try and get you that performance that their server doesn't naturally have, it can interfere with LifterLMS, but it can really interfere with Buddy Boss. I've seen some crazy things with caching. So just keeping that, well run is a big tool, but it's a great social tool. I mean, the way that it runs groups and forums and discussions, and the Buddy Boss theme, I really like the Buddy Boss theme. There's not a lot of flexibility with the Buddy Boss theme, but I kind of like it out of the box. I think it works really well. And I really like the way it styles up the lessons and courses. It gives it I've always said on these shows, Will, I don't hide it from folks, even though I have my own agency and I have a team of people that can do graphics. I personally am not a good graphics person. So I really use some of these other tools as a crutch, and Buddy Boss is a really good crutch for a guy with my skill set. But the hosting they're tied to, that new rapid hosting. Have you seen the rapid hosting?
No, I haven't.
So Buddy Boss has teamed up with their own hosting plan now, and it's called Rapid, RAPYD. But I think its entry-level pricing is like $80 a month. So, when people say to me, oh, what do you mean I need to have, great hosting? Yeah, you need to have good hosting, probably something that's at least $30 a month to get started. And when you get 100 or 200 users in the site, you might need to up your hosting package a little bit. That's why, having these recurring payment strategies and things like that to generate revenue on a regular basis are important to the success of your platform. They raised the price. Look at that, $99 now.
Yeah.
It was like $79 when it first came out, I think. And it works great. Will, you might not know this, but you and I actually shared a customer that's on this platform.
Okay. Yeah.
KC360.co is on this platform. They move servers over to Rapid and they love it. They absolutely love it. But It's not the cheapest source out there.
Right. Yeah. And that's a common question we get with people entering the LMS industry for building an online course or membership website. They ask what kind of hosting they need. You might be coming from a Bluehost cheapest plan or a HostGator or something like that. And we do have a recommended resources page with some good hosts for LifterLMS that our community has had success with. But one of the most important things you need to make sure your web host supports is dynamic content. Oh, I stopped my screen share. Dynamic content, because dynamic content is going to be what you're doing on your LMS website. There's logins, and the website looks different based on if you're logged in or you're not logged in. There's quizzes. You complete the quiz, and then it says like quiz completed and takes you to the next lesson. There's prerequisites. There's a lot of interactivity going on the website with these LMSs and memberships that you don't see on a blog website, on a restaurant website, because with those websites, they're simple. They don't really change all the time. And so we can just put it up. We can use caching mechanisms to optimize the speed of it, because we don't need to load WordPress and the code whenever we load new pages. We can just go ahead and be like, all right, we built our blogs, cache the blogs, and send them out as HTML, JavaScript, make them efficient. But then with LMS tools, there's an extra layer of complexity. And with community tools, there's also an extra layer of complexity where it's like, I want to see the social responses of people in real time. We got to be, contacting the database or doing what we have to do in order to be receiving the messages from the other people in real time. And so that's cool that they've got a community-oriented host that works well with Lifter.
Yeah. And when Jacqueline was saying build a community on LifterLMS versus Facebook, Facebook works well because everybody's on it, right? It's got the traffic, but the downfall of Facebook is you're dealing with a large audience. There's lots of trolls, there's lots of interference, and there can be censorship depending on your topics, depending on your subject matter. So being able to build social in your own site and get around censorship issues and getting rid of some of the trolls that might infiltrate your group is a really good way to a really good benefit of building on your own site.
100%. We did have Catherine in chat. Hi there, watching from Seguin, Texas.
Hi, Catherine. Texas. Let me take off my hat so you can recognize me. There we go.
Can LifterLMS work on keep signing up new users for our clients? So Keep is rebranded Infusionsoft, and LifterLMS most commonly works with Infusionsoft or Keep through a tool called WP Fusion. It's a third-party tool that makes a lot of advanced connections. But now with the Zapier that had been released, re-released recently, you now have the option to say, okay, when somebody is created with someone signs up in Keep and their account is created, I want to create that as a user in WordPress, and I want to enroll them in certain programs. I haven't looked at the triggers and actions in Zapier regarding Keep specifically, but there's probably like tag added to contact as a trigger. So it's like, okay, if there's a tag added to someone in Keep or they're added to a group, go ahead and enroll them in a certain course or membership on the WordPress website. So I would set up a couple of zaps there, probably when a user is created in Keep, create them as a user in WordPress, or like whenever a tag is added to a user in Keep, create them as a user in WordPress and enroll them in a certain course. That's what I would go with that. Or WP Fusion. WP Fusion, it's a much more advanced API-based integration where it's like straight from your Keep application straight into WordPress. I often recommend WP Fusion when it comes to situations where you don't want to be using a third-party service, because when you use Zapier, you're going from Keep to Zapier to your website. So it's like a 1, 2, 3. But when you're using like WP Fusion, it goes straight from Keep to WordPress. So it's 1 to 2 because it's built directly on top of the APIs instead of using like a third party. But the third party is cheaper. The third party is easier to get set up with. Zapier does start charging you once you do a certain number of volume through their platform, whereas WP Fusion doesn't do that. But probably the solution here is Zapier, but WP Fusion is another consideration.
Can I add just a little something on that one?
Yeah.
Catherine, I know that you're working with WP Tonic on this project, and so keep in mind that WP Tonic in their package includes WP Fusion. So you would be able to have LifterLMS, WP Fusion. You'd even be able to get off of Keep if you wanted to and go to like a Fluent CRM example where the CRM is actually part of the website. So tons of options to keep your users, keep your CRM, upgrade your CRM, or integrate your CRM. Like the options are endless. So really good news for you on your project. I think that's going to work out well.
Awesome. We did have a question in chat. Great. Apomu. Welcome. How can I come into LifterLMS team and help productivity advisor for free? I would hit up the general contact form. I don't know if LifterLMS is hiring right now, but if you hit up the general contact form and you really just engage in the community, that's kind of the best way to get involved is to check out the Facebook group, get engaged with answering questions and stuff like that. Maybe build yourself up as a LifterLMS expert if you offer WordPress services, getting on that experts page, and just kind of being present in the community is kind of my recommendation for that.
Right on. Well, now what do you want to talk about?
Let's see. I did throw a couple other questions in chat, but Catherine does want to get off of Keep. So yeah, Infusionsoft. I mean, they made fun of it for, it called it Confusionsoft, and so it's a very complicated platform. Then they rebranded to Keep, made some things simpler, but it's still a high end solution. And I think a lot of the CRMs, they don't need to be as complex as they are. I've been using the inbuilt ones inside of WordPress, and they can be plenty complex, but I always recommend keeping things simple. And that's not a super simple application. That's a pretty complex one. So I definitely recommend moving to a simpler setup, especially if you're in the phase of like validating. If you're below that 1,000 student mark.
She's not.
Oh, you're not. Okay. Well,
it's a migration.
It's a migration. Yeah. Then you could, I mean, if you're going from 1 to 10,000, that's where that CRM power is going to come in. So the CRM is going to be a big piece of your business from going to 1,000 students to 10,000 students, or if you're above 10,000 going to 100,000, then the CRM is like super important, because now it's like we care a lot about deliverability. We care a lot about the SMTP server that we're sending from, because 1% optimization in our delivery or in something is going to lead to actual money in the bottom line. Whereas like, I recommend people who are getting started to be like, okay, just get your first 10 students, get your first 100, get to the first 1,000. And like the tools that you use are not that important at that stage. It's just about keeping it as simple as possible and figuring out how we can create flexibility and grow. Once you're at the 1,000 student mark, you're cooking with gas. So now it's time to like care about important optimizations and really qualitatively compare tools to one another and stuff like that. But yeah, that's awesome. There was this YouTube comment. Hi, is there a way to get demographics of students? I need data for Facebook ads to see where to run the campaigns. That's usually going to be something, I'll keep that up on screen. Usually that's going to be something you'll find inside of a Google Analytics account. I've done a lot of work inside of Google Analytics, and that's another confusing platform, but it has a lot of data where you can see like breakdowns and segments of people from different regions who are involved in your business, who are your customers and where they're at geographically, and you can export those lists. So then if you're trying to run a campaign like specifically in Canada, you can export the users who visited your website, the users who have joined your email list, etc., from those regions. So I always recommend having those on like external platforms. Like I don't think at any business size people really internalize that data a lot. Well, that's not true. But like at what point in the business do you get so big that you don't want to use Google Analytics? You don't want to send your data to Google, but you do want to collect all these analytics. That's above most of the people I've ever worked with in Lifter. But so like I would use a Google Analytics for that. There's more simple solutions, like a Monster Insights is a simple way to connect Google Analytics to your WordPress, so you can get some pretty simple takeaways or simple insights, but it's still using Google Analytics data. So that way you're still collecting it for when you're ready to get more advanced. That's kind of long-winded, but what do you think about that, Kurt, collecting demographic data on existing students?
Nah. um, a lot of times you kind of have an idea of who your avatar is, and then you use the demographics and the advertising platform to attract that avatar. If you're trying to figure out who is your most consistent success, person, so not your avatar yet, but you're trying to like, you have people now, you're trying to figure out, well, who are these people? Your point's right on. Just go to your Google Analytics, your monster. What is it? Independent Analytics. Also, if you don't want to connect to Google, Independent Analytics does some stuff in that regard. But yeah, it's usually I see people go the other direction where they use like the filtering methods for a Facebook ad to target a new avatar, or do in pay-per-click advertising in Google with Google AdWords, you have a way to kind of pinpoint your avatar from that platform to your platform. But if you're trying to figure out who's already in your platform, Will's right on the money with, you just use your analytics.
Yeah. PPC and retargeting campaigns are interesting. I mean, if you're using a platform like Keep, and probably other ones too, I assume Fluent CRM can do this. I haven't tried it. Yeah, but where you might have people sign up for a free course lead magnet on your website, a free mini course that only has a few sections related to what you've created on your platform. People sign up for the free one, and then they get retargeting ads on Facebook or Instagram, like that person, because you can send their email to Facebook or Google or whatever, and then or Instagram and stuff, and then send them ads of like, hey, you can be super creepy about it and be like, hey, I like face really close to camera and be like, I saw you signed up for the free thing. Happy to have you join the sales
thing.
call. Yeah, happy to have you join the paid thing. But that's something that not a lot of people know how to do. But once you are at that 100 paying student mark, maybe 1,000 paying student mark, retargeting campaigns are really effective ways to get more present in the community, and you can do that through a CRM.
And with that, yo, what's up, Adam Silver? Run, Adam, run.
Yo.
Got to give him his shout outs, man. Got to give him his shout outs. This one's a series of questions, Will. We got welcome Chris Production to the show. Chris Production. So it says, I want to start soon with LifterLMS, but I stand before the following decision, starting with Sky Pilot theme and aircraft builder, or, like I said, this comes in sections. Should I start a nice looking Cadence starter theme and Cadence blocks? My boss likes some of the Cadence themes. Your boss must be old like me. Those are some older designs. That's why I say that. And I like them, so I'm not slamming anybody. And then it says, this decision is a mountain for me because I don't want weeks and going in the wrong direction. I don't blame you, Chris. Going in the wrong direction sucks. I'm actually reskinning the Mañana No Mas website in the background this week. And I'm going to tell you right now, I am trying to do it through the aircraft builder. I want to use some of the elements from aircraft. I'm kind of a LifterLMS expert here in these worlds. And the more I can use the product, the more I can demonstrate my use of the product, I think the more it shows, my commitment to the product. So in my personal site, the mañananomas.com site, I did build that with, you remember Christian from Maxi Blocks. So I had Maxi Blocks on the front of that site. And then I put in Buddy Boss, right? So that takes us back to the conversation we had earlier. And so now I got Buddy Boss and the Buddy Boss theme in there. And I'm like, all right, well, let me try aircraft and see what aircraft does inside the Buddy Boss theme. And to be honest with you, Chris, that's just how we get good at what we do, man. We play, we go in and we use these things. We can do the research, right? But at the end of the game, you got to pick the tool that's right for you. If you go with, and if I talk out of term or if I say something you don't agree with, Will, feel free to correct me. But if you go with Sky Pilot and the aircraft builder, and you have those elements that you can just kind of slide into place and build out some pages quickly and change the content, that's a great way to go, because then you're in the full site editor and you're at the forefront of WordPress and you're right where things are. So you're starting with a product that's new but is on a reliable platform that is going to be good for years to come. If you want to go the other route and have a more intricate kind of startup platform, Cadence with the starter themes is wonderful, but if I go the Cadence route, that puts me in the block editor, not the full site editor. And then I find myself wanting the Cadence Pro package. And I'm just speaking from like an agency perspective. This might not be where you're at right now, Chris, but if I put in Cadence, I'm going to want to put in Cadence blocks. I'm going to want to put in Cadence Pro, and I'm going to want to have access to those starter templates. And when you put in the Cadence Pro, you get some more options on how to really get more finite with some of the design stuff. And so that works, but there's an expense to that. I also use Astra and Astra Pro. I'm subscribed to all the Astra products. So that would give me access to Spectra, Astra, Astra Pro, and that side of it. So I use either Astra, Cadence, SkyPilot, or Buddy Boss, depending on my use case and my client needs.
Yeah. 100%. I'd be like, yeah. It depends a lot on your client needs, your situation, and product feel, and all that stuff. I mean, if your boss likes Cadence, it's like I don't think it's like it's not a radically consequential decision because Cadence will be around for like 5 or more years, like for sure. So it's like if you choose to build on that platform today, when it comes time to rebuild 5-6 years down the line of like you got to redo your website, probably even more frequently than 5-6 years, but about every 5 or 6 years it happens usually. So you're gonna be fine on a Cadence platform, but SkyPilot is
wonderful. Cadence is absolutely wonderful. And what they're doing in the background with their project is really interesting. I don't know if you've seen this yet or not, Will, but they're allowing people to build like cloud-based template libraries. Like Melissa Love is in that space now.
Mm-hmm.
So she's working in the Cadence arena. WP Tonic has specific templates built in the Cadence cloud. And so from an agency perspective, there's lots of cool things to happen there. But Chris, if you're a business and you're doing a DIY build and you're not coming at it from an agency perspective, the options are all yours, man. And then we get into the topic with page builders, right? So if you want to stay in Gutenberg with full site editing or Gutenberg with blocks, wonderful, right? That stuff seems to be lightweight. And if it meets your needs, that's great. But then there's page builders like Elementor or Bricks or Beaver Builder or some of these other tools that might be a little more drag and drop for you. But then again, there's a learning curve and expense to that as well.
Yeah. I'd try to, I'd stick to a Cadence out of the box or a SkyPilot. Like SkyPilot's built on architecture that's going to be very prominent in the next 10 to 20 years. So it's like LifterLMS is investing in the long run with a SkyPilot theme because like the LifterLMS theme launchpad that came out in like 2014 or something, don't quote me on when that came out, but like a long time ago, like a decade ago, it served the Lifter community before there were a bunch of themes that supported Lifter, but now Astra, Cadence, Generate Press, like all the themes kind of support Lifter now. So it became more popular to use Astra or Cadence. And then just this year we came out with SkyPilot. And so that's like the future. This is going to be the official LifterLMS theme for the next 10 years or more. So that's kind of the mentality. But I think, and on the demo site that I was actually on there, I'll pull that up again. This is an example of SkyPilot. You've probably seen videos and seen what it looks like. Not the back end of WordPress, but something like this. And so installing it, configuring your headers and stuff is going to look something like this. And one thing Kurt mentioned, there's a template library involved with Cadence, and SkyPilot has doesn't have a full template library yet. But what that kind of technology is built on is pretty interesting to me, where you have basically a little block library or a pattern layout. So we've been talking about aircraft and stuff too. Aircraft adds a bunch of patterns to your website. So in the block editor, I'm used to just going to blocks and clicking add new to these blocks, but there's also this patterns tab at the top. And when you install aircraft, what it does is it gives you a bunch of these like folders with patterns inside of these folders, but you already have a bunch of them with WordPress out of the box too. But the really neat thing about these patterns is that if I click on the bottom, I can explore more patterns, but more importantly, I can manage my own patterns. So if I go to manage patterns within the block editor, it will take me to a page, and this will look different depending on what theme you're on. You have the same option in the Cadence theme, but it's a little bit different to get to this area. But it's a bunch of folders with a bunch of patterns, and you can actually export these patterns. So if I go into one of them, well, I'll go to, I didn't make my own pattern today, so these are all like locked. Can I just go to like footers? Whatever, I'll just make my own pattern. Create a pattern. Will's custom block to sell. People will start selling these things. We'll make it a non-synced pattern. Synced pattern is like globally updated. So if you put it on 2 pages and you update it on 1 page, it'll update on both automatically. But basically, I can build little patterns myself. Put a columns block in here, 50-50. I'll put an image block over here from my media library, something like this. Boom. Over here, we'll put like a heading. And I'd style this thing up. It'd take me a couple hours. Fishing is great, etc. Paragraph here, something like this. And so let's say I invested a lot of time in styling this thing up. And so I'm like, I want to sell this because other people are going to want to add this to their website too. So they could swap out their image, swap out their text, and not have to do all this advanced formatting work that I did. Because you could do a lot of advanced stuff here. What you can do is if I save my pattern and then drop back out to my library, I can download this thing. And where's my fishing is great template? Or it's what we call the Will's thing. Here we go. Will's custom block. So I can download this, export it as a JSON, and I can send it to other WordPress users. So if you have a friend who likes your block website, you can say, hey, I'll send you a copy of my website. You can swap out your elements on it. Or you can sell those assets and say, hey, this is my sample website. These are the blocks I used to create it. You would just pay $10 and you can download all the assets I used. So that's kind of a cool, or the JSON blocks. So that's a cool interchangeability that exists in the block editor. Whether you use Cadence or SkyPilot, you'll have access to that feature. But I just wanted to highlight that because as WordPress users go into creating in the next 5 years, that's going to be a critical element. Or an element where you say, hey, I like the look of something on this website. And then you might be able to find a pattern to do that for you. I'm losing my voice now.
You are. Maybe you need a beverage, a hot beverage. Coffee.
I don't drink coffee. I don't drink tea or coffee, but I'm super exhausted, so.
Well, you've told me that before, Will, but sometimes you got to overcome. Sometimes you got to overcome in the heat of battle.
Yeah, I could drink some lotion. That might like smooth things.
You could. Do you have any honey? Heat up some honey and lemon. Coat your throat. I might put a little bourbon in that, but that's up to me. So I really like having Chris on the show today because he's pleasant. Great explanation. Thank you so much. Dude, this is why we're here, man. This stuff is what we love to do. We talk to people all week long about this kind of stuff. And it's hard because there's so many options. WordPress is just to quote some other people, they might say it's just, an open flea market of stuff. And you kind of have to, know what table to go to in the flea market to get something that's going to meet your needs. So there's over 60,000 tools in the repository, Will. What would you say, how deep do you think your tech stack is? If you had to pick, a set number of reliable tools that help you do your job, out of 60,000, how many do you think you routinely go to?
Like less than 10.
Yeah, I was going to say I'm at about a dozen. I'm at about a dozen where I go. A customer says to me, and remember, Will and I both build pretty intricate things, but a customer will say, I need my website to do this. I go, okay, got it. I need my website to do that. Okay, got it. And so that means 5,982 of them in the, what was that, Trent? 59,000? Yeah, 59,982 other plugins really don't fit the bill for me. And so that's something to really consider. Like you don't have to be an expert on everything. You just have to find a really good a handful of plugins, a handful of tools that you can go to reliably and know how they work and have some confidence, and you can build some really cool stuff.
100%.
It's John Bailey.
I'm trying to see.
Hello, right.
If I've got a quiz. There was a question in chat about I want to do audio. I put it in there from YouTube, but it's like I want to do audio on a quiz, so I'm trying to figure that out. Yeah, okay. So I'll share my screen here. So this is my Lifter site, and so they want to be like, I want to have an audio as a part of my question, but then it says your browser does not support the audio. What did I do? Oh, it's a fill in the blank, and I didn't fill out. I see what I did. So I'm just messing around here in the course builder. And audio question. Fill in the blank. Is this like? So what I did is I put in some audio autoplay. I'm trying to copy this like HTML for an audio file and see if I could like embed it over here. But I haven't done an audio file embed in a long time with HTML, because in the LifterLMS course builder and the quiz builder, you can use question descriptions and then write HTML in the question description. So theoretically, you could use this to embed an audio file, but I don't do a lot of work with audio files, so I'm probably doing something wrong here. But if I don't have horse.ogg in my media bin. But yeah, you'd put a link to your MP3 file, and then we would start quiz, and this is a fill in the blank question type, but then this would be a theoretically playable audio. I mean, it looks like it's playing like it's perfect if I had something here. So that would be a way you could support audio inside of a quiz. So in case you're wondering, question descriptions, HTML, that would be the way to embed audio.
Bam. Full of answers today. You know what's nice about looking at my support list right now today? Well,
is it empty?
No, but they're almost all of them are like, hey, thanks for your previous answer. That's awesome. I'm going to go buy this.
Nice.
Like, okay. I don't want to ruin the mojo and answer them with something stupid now. Just let them go buy it.
Here's my affiliate link.
Here's my affiliate link. I haven't done that.
Let's see. So that was the last question I thought in the queue. There was a question about styling lessons I could talk about. In the meantime, anyone in the chat? We've had a bunch of new people joining in. Yeah, we got a lot of people on today. That's awesome.
We do have a lot of people.
Yeah, let us know in the comments wherever you're watching. Any questions you have about LifterLMS, we're happy to dive into them. The question about how do I customize my lessons? I'm not sure what theme this person was using because I didn't read the question too deeply, but I'll talk about it in a couple of different ways. So if you're using like a SkyPilot theme, like I'm using on my website, a full site editing theme, customizing lessons is going to be done via templates. This is a new way of doing things where we go to Appearance Editor, and this editor interface is what's new, and it's changing like every 6 months or so. This looks a little bit different because this is going to be a really future way that WordPress looks. It's going to lean into this style of editing a lot more, where we have this sort of folder-oriented navigation. I'm not the biggest fan of that. I like the WordPress admin bar where it's like you can see everything here on the left, and it's like pretty simple. You see the little pop-outs of like what the settings are, whereas this is a little more confusing because I don't know what's in these folders until I click on them. But within the templates, I can see there should be a lesson template on here because there's usually one for each post type. Single lesson.
Shazam.
Single lesson. There we go. So this is the single lesson template. This is like something that applies to all lessons on your website when you're using a full site editing theme like SkyPilot. We can edit this thing and say, take a look at what's going on here. So we have a header at the top, we have a footer at the bottom, and so we could swap it out, remove it. If we say like, I don't want my footer on lessons, we could remove it. Or on my lessons, I don't want this like massive like footer that I would have on my homepage. Maybe for like a distraction-free learning setup, we might just cut the footer off of lessons. And then within this group in the middle of the page, we can see what's going on. I should probably expand my screen. We have a 2-column layout. And there's a lot of questions about sidebars, but we can see here it's just like a 66% column and a 33% column. This is like how sidebars are going to be working moving into the future. You can put widgets and things into this 33% wide column, but the sidebar concept is kind of dissolving. It's kind of going away because the sidebar is just a small column on the right or left of your page. You could swap them around if you wanted to swap your columns around, but this is where it installs the featured image of the post. So if you put a featured image on your lesson, let me actually save this and show you as I go. So we'll come back here in a second, but let's view a lesson in real time. So you can see I swapped it from right to left with that column there. So you can see it's over here on the left-hand side now. If I were to edit this lesson and install a featured image, it would go above the progress and above the syllabus that we see over there. So we'll go to the lesson block settings on the right, go to featured image, put an image on my lesson, set featured image and update. Then if I view the lesson, the template is saying, go ahead and put that above the progress bar. It also puts it in the syllabus. I don't think you can turn that off, but it's pretty good. If you have like a small course, like I encourage people to create courses that are 25 lessons or less. So they're not like incredibly overwhelming. And so with a small course, 25 lessons or less, these images are kind of nice to give a lesson preview and give some kind of context to the lessons. Because looking at this list of words, I can't really tell what these are about. I can kind of read the name and think about it a little bit. But if there's a little featured image, it gives some more context. So like a little thumbnail or something.
Well, and remember, with the advent of tools like Canva, you can make more interactive, thumbnails that have words on them or signs or highlights or colors or whatever. So
yeah, I would treat it like a featured image, like a YouTube experience. But yeah, so that's the template layout. If you wanted to remove featured image as a feature on the lesson page, you could remove that. You could also see that here the title of the lesson will be there, and then the content of the lesson will be here. The content will be the blocks inside of the lesson. You can see in this lesson, I have this little navigation of like some of the key features you might want to hear about with Lifter. But you could put, of course, paragraph blocks, PDF embeds, anything you put is going to be in the content area, which goes right here in the template. So that's how you would customize the templates in a full site editing theme. And most of the lesson design is going to be determined here. If you wanted the background to be a different color, you would do it probably right here. So templates are where you do it in full site editing. But if you are on a Cadence or an Astra, you're going to go to the customizer to do that. So if I go to appearance themes and swap over to Cadence, we were talking about Cadence earlier. Cadence has a customizer. Also, there's the pattern library I was talking about earlier. It's right here inside of Cadence. Will's block to sell, export as JSON. That's where it's at in Cadence. But if I click the customizer, this is where we'll customize lesson layouts within Cadence and within Astra and within a lot of themes that have been built in the last 10 years. So if I go to LifterLMS, lesson layout, this is where I can determine the styling for my lesson layouts within Cadence. It's pretty limited. It's pretty limited to the layout options that are right here. But what's cool about the future themes that like Kurt was talking about, like what makes SkyPilot oriented towards the future, where something like Cadence is going to start to like this custom. I'm not saying Cadence is going to become limited because they'll adopt the new technology at some point.
Yeah.
But they're inside of a customizer right now. So it's like your options are 100% limited to what you see on screen right now. And if you know how to do some custom CSS, some custom coding, you can take it to the next level. But like you're pretty confined to what you have here as options. But with the full site editing theme framework and being able to use blocks and stuff on lessons, it means that you can install your own block patterns. You can install Spectra or Cadence blocks, and you can use those inside of a template on lessons for more advanced design. So that's kind of the feeling of like the liberating feeling you'll have of styling things up, because you can install any blocks you want on your website, any plugins to add more blocks, use those in templates, and then customize those a lot more than you could. You're just 100% dependent on what your theme gives you previously.
Well, and as we wrap up today, I want to make sure we address Ross's question. Ross says, do you support SCORM? I'm starting to think people are hiring out to bring people to ask me this question, Will.
Yeah.
Comes up quite a bit. LifterLMS actually just did a presentation through one of the country's largest developers of about supporting SCORM on a LifterLMS website. So yes, we can work with SCORM, but you're going to need to implement some type of third-party tool to embed that SCORM. And then you're also going to want to use what's called a learning record store to kind of, grab those activities that come out of the SCORM package and go to reporting. So in LifterLMS's basic reporting, it's going to say, and we call it advanced reporting, right? But now you're in the SCORM world, so you're going to that's all you look at. So in our reporting, we have the name of the course, the name of the student, what they're enrolled in, their progress, and their grade. Like, we have all that in our reporting. When the SCORM package, depending on how you export your SCORM package from your SCORM authoring tool, it's going to be able to say, the duration that they looked at something. It's going to be able to tell you, like, when they clocked in, when they clocked out. If you put the quiz inside the SCORM package, it's going to have the results of that quiz, how long the quiz took, all of those things. So all of that, you want to connect that to a learning record store if that's something that you need. So with LifterLMS, we recommend going through a tool called GrassBlade. And this link that I put on here is one of our blog items that kind of blows out how we hooked up SCORM, how we implemented GrassBlade. And then we have a sister blog post that is how to implement a learning record store with your SCORM package. Now, all of this to say, Ross, is it sounds like, as I speak, I know it sounds like there's too many steps, or it sounds like it's difficult, but I have a corporate training background, and I come from an environment where I use purpose-built SCORM websites to do corporate training. And once you get this hooked up and once you use it, you are operating on, a small percentage of your previous budget, and it works really, really, really well. Like I said, I just presented to a really large developer here in the States and showed them, here's the SCORM package embedded into a page. Here's your SCORM package that comes up as a light box. Here's your SCORM package that opens up in a new tab that's not restricted to a light box, but takes up, the full screen. Here is your SCORM package attached to an LRS that gives you this reporting, and that reporting syncs with LifterLMS, so you can pull up those reports directly through the interface in the website. So there's all kinds of ways to make this happen, and I would say almost out of the box. But now that you have all of this data, you have the ability to obviously use APIs and things like that to integrate with other custom platforms if that's something you're trying to do that's like way down the road. Yeah, so yeah, what you're seeing here is, what I would need a learning record plugin in addition to the GrassBlade add-on. Correct. GrassBlade has GrassBlade, and GrassBlade also has the GrassBlade LRS. Remember, not everybody puts their quiz and their test inside their SCORM package. So if you run GrassBlade and you don't have your knowledge checks inside your package, you would just use LifterLMS's advanced quizzes, and it would do all of your knowledge checks and everything through Lifter, and all the reporting would be through Lifter, and you'd be streamlined. And that GrassBlade only costs, I think, $100 a year, right? But then the LRS, if you need the LRS, then you get the LRS, and you have the reporting on top of the presentation. So GrassBlade gives you the SCORM presentation. GrassBlade LRS gives you the SCORM reporting and syncs to LifterLMS's reporting. So yeah, you do need both. Now, if you do the research, there are other ways to put SCORM into WordPress. There's one, I think it's called eLearning Freaks. I tried eLearning Freaks. I'm gonna be honest with you, I didn't like it. There's one from Rusticy Software. Rusticy owns SCORM, I think. I say it that way, and I could be wrong in the way I present that. But Rusticy is very big in the SCORM world, and they have their own version of a plugin that will integrate with WordPress and do the reporting with that package. But what I'm doing is I'm looking at what's my personal use case been, what's worked well, what's been reliable, and what's been cost efficient. And cost efficient is GrassBlade with GrassBlade LRS, unless someone shows me something better right now. And here's where I am with this, Ross. I've worked on platforms that, a custom coded, site that's running SCORM typically is going to run a company $150,000 to $250,000 in development. and then you're going to pay probably $50,000 to $70,000 to maintain that site, and that's even if you're in charge of the content. And that's looking at custom development. That's looking at agencies like Bridge, Learn Upon, some other tools that are out there. Sum Total. So knowing that those are the budgets that those people are working with, when you can buy the LifterLMS Infinity plan and hook up Grassblade for a couple $100 a year and have a totally awesome learning platform that's reliable, I'm already sold.
I wonder, like, if any Swarm solutions have ever thought about putting that in the back end of WordPress, or there's maybe something I'm missing, but like a learning record store, right, is a server that's specifically configured to store learning statements. But it's like, why couldn't you just have a custom table in WordPress to store those statements and then just store a bunch of learning statements to that table and then retrieve them when it comes to reporting?
All you have to do is make it and figure out how you're going to make money on it.
Right. Yeah, there's a lot of questions on it, but yeah, the I guess learning record services also allow for distribution of, like, most people who are using a learning record store are not using a single website to do it. They're like using, like,
a lot of times the learning record store, people want to connect it to their Dynamic 365 or their human resources platform, or there's multiple instances where that data is going to more than one place. So having it on a separate server for those activities seems to be what a lot of corporate clients are looking for.
That makes sense. Sweet. We are at about the top of the hour. Do you have a sign off, a place people can find you, Kurt?
I'm kind of busy this week. I almost don't want to be found. I really stacked myself up this week, Will. But yeah, I'm usually on LinkedIn. So you can hit me up on LinkedIn, hit the connect button. It'll say follow me. But if you want to connect, hit the more button, hit connect, and then we'll get together, have a conversation, see how I can help you out. You?
Cool. You can find me on Google, Magic Will Middleton. Find me on YouTube doing lifter stuff. WP course guide. I'm just kind of around. Yeah.
And wonderful, encouraging words from Chris to close out the show. Chris, thank you so much. John Bailey, if you're still here, friend of the show, awesome. Catherine, I'll be talking to you soon. Anywho, I think we're meeting tomorrow. Adam Silver, always great to see you, sir. And then Jacqueline, it was awesome to help you out at the beginning of the call. I think that's it.
That's it.
Let's see. Let's do this thing. You ready?
Ready.